There are so many photo editing apps out there that want to charge you a monthly fee for the features that you can get forever in Procreate. Procreate is a drawing app. You buy it once and you have it forever. Today, I'm going to be showing you how you can use Procreate as a photo editor. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing I want to preface is that this is a drawing app. So to get the most out of your photo editing experience, you want to learn how to use layers. Let's say I want to draw on top of this photo. I would make another layer on top of that so that I can make sure that whatever I draw can still be erased. And I'm not erasing the photo, because if I was drawing on this same layer, like so, if I try to erase it, it erases the whole photo along with it. That's one of the first things you want to remember when you're using Procreate as a photo editing app. You want to remember to make sure that you are working on separate layers. So the layers menu is in the upper right hand corner. It's the two squares right here. There's a lot of things you can do in this app. If I were to show you all of them, this video would be way too long, but there are so many cool tutorials that you can watch online for free on YouTube, and they will teach you everything that you can do in the Procreate app. I'm just going to be giving you a little sample of some edits that you can do, and I'll be using these stock images to demonstrate. Let's start out with adjusting the colors and the lighting of your photo. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to the magic wand icon in the upper left hand corner. Then first, let's check out hue, saturation, and brightness. So just by playing with these sliders, you can get different types of effects on your photo. You can adjust the saturation, the hue, and the brightness. Not only that, you can also adjust the color balance. So you have the cyan red slider here you can play around with, magenta green, and yellow blue. And you can do that for each of these categories. We have the highlights, midtones, and shadows. You can adjust all of those things right here within the app. And you can kind of like make your own custom filter. Now, before I go on, let me just show you a little bit of the basics. So on the left-hand side, we have these sliders. This adjusts your brush size, the brush that you use to paint or smudge or erase depending on which tool you're using. And this is the opacity of that brush. Usually people keep theirs on full opacity, and you can adjust the size how you like. Also, you have this undo button right here and this redo button. But what's more commonly used to undo and redo is using two fingers to tap on the screen, and it undoes whatever you just did. And you can do that as many times as you want. To redo what you just did, tap with 3 fingers on the screen. Now back to the magic wand tool. Here we have something called curves. This is just pretty much playing with the colors, just in a different way. I'm not an expert at this, but I was told to just play around with the dots until you get the effect you like. Look at that nice fade effect that I just got. And you can do this for the red section, and the green section, and the blue section. Next we have gradient map. These are almost like pre-built-in filters. Let's say we want to use this one, Mystic, here. It's a little intense. So for a lot of these things, you can just scrub back and forth on the screen with your finger or your Apple Pencil to adjust the intensity of whatever effect that you're trying to achieve. So if I go to the right with my finger, it intensifies the effect. If I go to the left with my finger, it diminishes the effect. That's a really cool way that you can play around with the colors as well. Next, we have Gaussian blur. So this is just like the last one. Use your pencil or your finger on the screen and just slide it over to the right to get that effect. You can also tap on Gaussian blur and use the pencil feature. So make sure you're on the brush tool, and let's make sure we're on the soft brush, because soft brush is very forgiving. Soft brush is one of my most commonly used brushes, and let's adjust the size how we like it. And as you can see, we can add the effect anywhere we want. So that's great for blurring out things that you don't really want to be standing out in the picture. You can blur out your background, blur out whatever you want. Another way that you can blur things out is with the smudge tool, making sure that it's also on the soft brush. Just adjust your brush size and then boom. You can smudge things around just like that. Next we have motion blur, which is kind of the same thing as Gaussian blur, except it gives you more of like a motion effect. Kind of like if you accidentally moved your camera while you were taking a photo, which I know a lot of young people like to do these days. So the other day I was editing one of my photos. I wanted to get kind of like a Polaroid-like effect. So I just added some motion blur. Then I added some perspective blur. Then I added some noise. Then I added the bloom effect. And you can just use these sliders to adjust it how you want. And I also added the chromatic abrasion effect. There's also this displace effect, which is really taking it to another level, but I preferred this one. And so I got this cool kind of like fun Polaroid kind of effect by layering these different effects on top of each other. I really love the way this looks. I was kind of getting ahead of myself there because I really wanted to show you how to do that effect. But let's keep going down the list. Now, perspective blur blurs out the surrounding area like this. And then whatever you put this dot over, it won't blur it as much. That's perspective blur. And the noise effect, it just gives you this nice grainy texture. I love adding grain to all my drawings and my photos. And sharpen, I'm sure if you've used any photo editor, you know what that does. So just like the other ones, just go to the right to intensify, go to the left to diminish. Now the bloom effect, it gives you like a glowy effect, which I also really love. I already added that, so I won't be adding that in. The glitch effect is pretty neat. So it pretty much adds this glitchy effect to your photo. And with these sliders at the bottom, you can adjust how that looks. Most of these features also, by the way, can be used with a brush. So if you don't want the glitchy effect going over her face, you would just, oh, I'm on the smudge tool. Make sure you're on the brush tool and you would just paint over the areas where you want the glitch effect. Halftone pretty much just gives your photo like that newspapery comic book texture. And we already added chromatic abrasion, but just to remind you what it does, it gives you this like, I don't even know what to call this. It's like a glitchy Polaroid effect. It kind of rainbowifies your photo. I don't know, but you see what it does. It does this. Okay, so moving on. So the final tool I'm going to be showing you is the liquify tool. For that, I'm going to go onto a different photo. So I'm going to be using this to demonstrate what the liquify feature can do. So I'm kind of just going to make a little joke right here. I know back in the old days, I don't know if people still do this, but back in the old days, people used to edit their bodies using Facetune. They would pinch in their waist and make their butt look bigger and stuff. Let's just throw it back to those days when that was a thing. Now, I'm not condoning anybody do this, but if you're out there doing this and paying monthly just for that feature, let me just show you that you can do the same thing in Procreate. Of course, your background is going to be warped, so watch out for that. But I'm just saying, you can do anything in Procreate. Again, I don't think she needs this. I don't think anybody needs this. But you do with your photos what you want. There's all sorts of different funhouse mirror effects you can get. So the one that I just showed you is the push feature. You also have twirl right and twirl left and pinch. And you have expand, crystals. And I'm just painting that over any section I want with my Apple Pencil, which, like I said, you can also use your finger. You have edge, and you have reconstruct, which pretty much just puts your photo back to normal wherever you put your brush down. So that's the liquify feature. It's there if you want it. you don't have to pay a monthly fee just to be able to warp your photos. So next I'm going to be showing you just some decoration type things. I just want to let you know that using this little arrow tool in the upper left hand corner, it allows you to resize your image however you like. Like I said, there's lots of things that you can do in this app. I'm not going to be showing all of them, but I'm just showing you some basic things as I remember them. And in the upper right hand corner, you have brush, smudge tool, eraser, layers, and colors. To doodle on photos, which is super fun, I personally like using a pen called the light pen. It's in the luminance section. You can use any brush you want, of course. I just think the light pen is neat. So if I paint on this layer, that would be a bad idea because not only would I not be able to erase my strokes, but it's not going to give it as good of an effect. See, right now it looks like this, even though I have pink chosen. So let me show you that it looks more vibrant if I put it on a separate layer. See, I have a layer above, layer 3, and now when I paint over the photo, it looks like that. Isn't that a lot better? So yeah, make sure you're managing your layers. So one of the things you can do is you can doodle on your photos. So you could write something like this. And you can just add little doodles. Now I'm switching my color to yellow. Let me show you something else cool. So certain shapes, if you draw them, like let's say a circle, if you hold down your pen on the screen, it will perfect it. And then if you want it to be like a perfect circle, then you put your other finger on the screen and boom, perfect circle. You can also click on circle to adjust your circle or whatever shape you drew. You can also do the same thing with a basic line. Hold it down and then it straightens out. Oh, and then if I put my finger on the screen, it kind of locks it into whatever place it thinks that I want it to go. So I hope I explained that in a way that makes sense. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give them these cute little halos. Then I'm going to switch to white and I'm going to give them some cute little angel wings. And since we're on a separate layer, we can erase any mistakes. I like to work in strokes. And there you go. You can also add other decorations, like I had downloaded this sparkle brush that I like to use sometimes. And I just like to add separate types of decorations on different layers. So I'm going to make another layer and I'm going to start putting down my sparkles. And that just gives you a fun little sparkle effect. And if you don't want the sparkles on the people, just get your eraser, make sure it's on soft brush so that it's more forgiving. And then just erase over the people so that the effect does not show up on top of them. All right, that looks awesome. I want to just show you one more thing that I think is really cool. So I'm going to go back to this photo right here, but I'm going to take away all the effects. So for that, I'm going to re-import that same photo into the drawing app. So to add a photo in, what you want to do is go to the wrench icon, make sure that you're on add, then go to insert a photo. So you can pretty much add as many photos as you want. You could also do a collage if you want to. I personally like to make my vision boards on Procreate. And you can just resize your image however you like. You can even distort your image like this. Just make sure you're on the distort tab right here. But we don't want that today, so we're going to go to uniform. Now we're going to play a little bit of pretend. So obviously this model has flawless skin. Let's just say that she didn't. I drew a pimple on her. Let's say it's a real pimple. We're going to pretend it's real. So how can we get rid of this pimple? Well, there's a few ways. You can grab the smudge tool, making sure it's on soft brush. I gotta make sure that the brush is set to the correct size. We want it small. And we can just smudge away that little imperfection. And I was doing like a circular motion. And there we go. It takes a little bit of finesse sometimes to get it to blend perfectly, but I just like to blend away at the areas that don't look blended. So as you can see, that's one way to remove a blemish or smooth out your skin. Let me show you another way. Another way is using the soft brush. We're just going to zoom in on that pimple, grab the color of her skin that's right next to the pimple. Adjusting our brush size, we're going to paint on top of it with her skin color. And the pimple is pretty much gone. You can like blend that out as much as you like. And another way that I can also do it, I can go to this lasso tool right here in the upper left hand corner. I can grab a piece of her skin. I can hit copy and paste, which puts that piece of her skin on a separate layer. Then while on that layer, I go to the arrow icon and I drag that piece of skin over the blemish. And I can blend out the edges after that with the smudge tool, making sure it's still, oh, it's too big. So yeah, just make sure your smudge tool is on soft brush and that it's small, and start blending circular motions around the edges. Can go back and forth a little bit too. Because if you blend too close to the center, then you'll start to see the pimple pop through. So yeah, you can blend that as much as you like. That's just another way you can cover up a blemish or whatever it is on your skin that you want to fix. So another cool thing that you can do with the soft brush, or with any brush, but I like to use a soft brush for this, is you can add makeup. So let's say I want to give her some natural looking brown eyeshadow. I'm just going to hold my finger down on the screen to grab her natural shadow color. Then I'm going to adjust my brush size and I'm going to lightly start doing small strokes, just like if I was doing her makeup in real life. And if you're using an Apple Pencil that has pressure sensitivity, you can get a much more natural effect with this. And to blend this out further, you could go to, since this is on a separate layer, you can go to the magic wand and go to Gaussian blur. And then just move your finger back and forth across the screen until you get the blended effect that you want. Yeah, as long as you add something on a separate layer, you can blend it in with Gaussian blur. That is a great trick. I can also add eyeliner with the soft brush. Just make it extra small, grab the same color, and then start doing little strokes. Just like if you were doing her makeup in real life. I can even add some on the bottom. And if I feel like it's not blended enough, I can just use the blend tool and just blend it out. See? So that's another thing that apps like Facetune will try to charge you for, is adding extra makeup. The possibilities are really endless with Procreate and the things you can do. Let's say I just want to add some more lip color. Oh, that's kind of... I can even adjust the opacity so that it's more blended. I can give her some lip liner here. So yeah, that's a fun little trick. You can add makeup to your picture. Another thing that you can do to your photos that's pretty fun is you can add text. So I'm just going to add some text to this photo right now. So you want to go to the wrench icon, then you go to add text, and here you can type out whatever you want. And to adjust the font, you want to make sure it's all highlighted. Now go to the two A's right here. Now you can adjust the size, the color, and you can change the font. See? use the arrow icon to drag it wherever you like. I'll just put that right there. And let's just have some more fun and add some more little decorations. Let's make sure that we're on a separate layer from the text. We're gonna add a new layer. So for every decoration you add, you wanna make another layer. Just gonna stamp some flowers around to make it look nice. And so there you have it. Those are some cool ways that you can edit your photo in Procreate. I think Procreate is an awesome photo editor, and I hope you have fun if you decide to go ahead and give Procreate a go as a photo editor. Oh, also, if you want to save your photo, just go to the wrench icon, go to share, and then choose which file type you want to save your photo as. I usually go with PNG. Okay, for real this time. Bye!